Cool, so this is the NWC Show, Ep.27, and if you would like to introduce yourself.
I am the prize fighter, Dean Ford.
Man, thanks for taking the time out of your day to come on the show and stuff. It's really cool. I've been watching your stuff for a little bit of time now, and I thought I'd just drop you a DM, see if you would come on. I didn't think you were going to, and then I was like, oh, I think it's pretty cool getting you on.
It's funny because I just watched one of your shows, and then the next day you're like, do you want to come on? I was like, aye, go for it, let's do it.
So the question we always open these way is the same one for everybody: is what got you into wrestling? What was that moment that turned you on and it made you want to do it?
Right, so I can remember, I think I'd seen it before, very vaguely, but never really took any notice of it, sort of thing. But the first moment I can really remember, like, watching it and been drawn in it was a Saturday morning. I think I was about 4 or 5, and just a wee kid looking through the channels, seeing what it was on, and I've turned it over to Sky One, and it's The Undertaker cutting a promo in like the Ministry of Darkness days. It's like this big kind of spooky church in the backdrop with lightning and all that, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? I need to watch this, and then kept watching it. Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H and just all the characters and stuff just drew me in, and that was me every Saturday morning. SmackDown was on straight away, and then I just wanted to find out more and started buying figures and just got obsessed with it.
I mean, I was pretty much kind of same story, like that kind of time period when the first time when you turned it on at that time period, especially on Sky One when you got the kind of cut up show, so it was like shorter, and I always remember like the chair shots and stuff. They would like pan to the audience, which was always like pure kid safety stuff back then. But it was insane. Like people who didn't experience the Attitude Era and that kind of period in history was just. They missed it because it was so insane for wrestling fans and wrestlers at that time as well.
Even going back and watching it now on the network and stuff, it was crazy, a crazy time, man. Some of the stuff they get away with, you're like, watching it back now, you're like, I was a kid watching this stuff at like 4 and 5, do you know what I mean?
I know, man, I was, when I go back and watch it, I'm always like, I wouldn't let my kids watch this now, like it's a wee bit risky.
About primary school, chopping your grind.
So the worst thing for me was that my last name's Kane. So when I was in primary school, I always had to go Kane, which I was like, I want to go Stone Cold or like The Rock or Taker, somebody kill, no, like not Kane. And I hated it. So how long have you been in the business? How long have you been kind of wrestling?
I think this is my 6th year. So I started training in 2015. I think it was August 2015, and then I debuted in the December of the following year, so it was 2016. So on shows about just over 4 years, becoming up 5, and then training about 6, coming up 5.
And where did your name come from? So the prize fighter, where'd you get that from?
So I come from a martial arts background, so I kickboxed when I was 11 up until basically I started training to wrestle. I still train stuff just now and probably fight again in the future, but I just thought to stick to my real name and obviously use the skills that I've developed over that time. So obviously if you watch my matches, it's a very kind of martial arts based style, so I was trying to use that and use the gimmick. So for the prize fighter, it was just perfect for what I was trying to do.
Yeah, man. So for me, it was the opposite way around. So I'd done like professional wrestling when I was younger. Then I got injured, and I went and started doing like MMA, like Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, freestyle wrestling a little bit more and stuff like that as well. Which is one of the reasons why I like watching your style, because you can get that kind of martial arts feeling from it, which is quite refreshing, because you can watch a professional wrestler try and do martial arts, but when you watch somebody like a kickboxer that knows how to kick, bring it into wrestling, it's so much better than watching somebody that doesn't know how to kick trying to know how to kick, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how was kind of training compared to, because for me, I love comparing professional wrestling training to like my Muay Thai training, because it's like the two of them are totally different, but you kind of get kind of similar stuff. And I feel back when I started professional wrestling training was like 2004, I think it was. So I was like really young. I think I was like 13 or something like that. And then in Muay Thai, when I was doing it, there was a lot of kind of big egos still floating around in wrestling and stuff like that. So it wasn't really as fun as what it looks like now. But Muay Thai is just so much more respectable. Like I go to the Grip House in Glasgow, and it's just like everybody's sound. Like now you get that part of like people just taking the piss out of each other and stuff like that. But you don't get there's no egos or nothing like that because everybody's just at the Grip House. If anybody's been there, they know Guy Ramsey, who's like the owner of it. He'd just layer anybody that starts to act like that. But
that's the thing. If you've got an ego in a martial arts gym, you get humbled within the first few weeks. Do you know what I mean? Your ego gets beaten at you, so it's one way or another, really. So
yeah, I think it's so weird to see the difference between like obviously professional wrestling and stuff like that. So, what one would you say was more nerve-wracking going to it? Was it like going to that first kickboxing class or first martial arts class, or was it like turning up to like a professional wrestling gym and being like, what the hell am I going to do here? What was more nerve-wracking for you?
Probably both in different ways, do you know what I mean? Because obviously starting wrestling, obviously had experience in martial arts, but it's completely different. So like some of the stuff I'd done previously had helped me, and then some of it was kind of hindered me a wee bit as well. I feel like coming from a fighting background and you're trying to hurt people, and that's like the aim of the game, and now it's like everything's the complete opposite, where you try to show the intent without actually hurting anybody and work with people. And I think sometimes to start with as well, when people know you've came from that background, they're like, oh, I don't want to work with him, he's going to hurt me, he'll not be able to control himself, do you know what I mean? So I think you just need to over time earn people's trust and show them that you know what you're doing, sort of thing.
Yeah, man, definitely. I think for me, professional wrestling training was my first day. We turned up on a Sunday in Linwood in the middle of nowhere, and it was like the guy was like, "Okay, just run round this industrial estate." It was like 12 years. Everybody left, and then it was just me. And he was like, "I've totally forgot you were there." And because it's like there's just the kind of get ready people who weren't going to do it. But then when you go to like a martial arts gym, it's everybody's kind of trying to help you out. It's a little bit more like team based as well, which is so confusing to say. Like martial art is a team based. Like if you're doing like Muay Thai, obviously you're in the ring yourself, or kickboxing, but it is like a team. Everybody's trying to help each other, and it's the same in wrestling when you kind of get into it, when you get people's trust, which is like I said, I was 13, so everybody was like, I don't want to work with this like kid. He's like a small child still try to jump around the ring, so nobody wanted to work with me back then. But later on, when I went to like Muay Thai and stuff like that, you get the difference. You're like, oh, when I was doing that, I try to work with like younger people because I'm like, I don't want them to feel left out, because when you're doing like a real martial arts, you don't want to like have especially like kickboxing, Muay Thai, you don't want to have like a 13-year-old holding up pads for you, so you like, try to go slow, but you want to get like a good hit in it. But what made you make that jump from martial arts to kind of professional wrestling? Was it just you wanted to try it out, or?
Well, it was always, even when I was training and fighting, since I obviously started watching wrestling, it was always something for a kid that I wanted to do. And then the timing just became right. It was like a combination of finding out that there was wrestling over here, and obviously ICW went through a kind of boom period in like 2014, and then I found out that there was like wrestling gyms over here, and then about the same time I was kind of getting fed up with the kickboxing a wee bit. I just wasn't enjoying it the same, and I was looking for something else, so that the timing was perfect to move over, and one of the best things I've ever done. Absolutely loved it, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget, like, it's not like America and the rest of the world where there's lots of wrestling schools and stuff like that, because like when I went, I think the only wrestling school that was around was that one in Linwood. Like ICW's done good bringing like a lot of schools into like Glasgow. You've got Source and stuff like that, which is insane to see how popular it's got and how clean places I've got. Like I said, when I went, it was in a garage, like literally an industrial estate garage. There wasn't a toilet. There was like a wee toilet. There wasn't any changing rooms. It was nothing. It was just like you went in, pads, ring. That's it. It was freezing cold, but it's all you really need. And it was some of the best times that I remember kind of training at that. And if anybody's listening that knows the Grip House in Glasgow, it's pretty similar. Like it's not a nice place. Like the top floor at the kind of close place. It's not like the nicest looking place it never used to be, but it's kind of nicer now. But so kind of comparing both, obviously being in the ring doing like kickboxing and professional wrestling, is any of them that you're like, I'm a little bit more nerve-wracking to do one? Is it maybe wrestling because you want to protect people more, or is it the kickboxing side? What was it for you that kind of, what one do you enjoy better, if that makes sense?
See, it's hard because they are so different, and I enjoy them both equally, but obviously they are completely different, so you have to kind of address them as such, do you know what I mean? But I thought, like, when I first debuted wrestling, I thought, oh, this will be a breeze, because obviously I've fought in front of crowds, and I thought I had a leg up, and it was the complete opposite, man. Like, when I was standing at the curtain waiting to go, and I was absolutely shating myself. Do you know what I mean? I thought, oh, this will be easy. I've fought in front of people, this will be the same thing. Absolutely not, man. I was fucking shating myself. But once you get it and you enjoy it, it's once the first one's at the way and the nerves and that, it's brilliant, man. I absolutely love it. One of the best things I've ever done.
I was similar, man. Obviously, it was the other way around. So like wrestling, I was like, oh, I'm used to people watching, and it was like an interclub between like different gyms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just all, because obviously it's all fighters just standing there watching, and then like they've brought like their birds and stuff along. And I went into the ring and I looked to it and I just glimpsed there was probably like 50 people, and my arse fell through it the first time I tried to do like a Muay Thai fight. I was like, what the hell? Why are these people watching me? And I really need to hit somebody. It's not like.
That's the thing. It's completely different, because like when you're fighting, obviously you kind of done it the opposite order for me, but when you're fighting, you're not thinking about the crowd really. You're trying to focus on the other person. Where when you're wrestling, it's all about the crowd. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that, a completely different atmosphere today. If you want to the other.
It's so weird, like when people compare like WWE to like UFC and stuff like that, and you're like, they're just totally different things, because obviously everybody knows one's a work and one's real, but like even if they both were real, being in the ring is two totally different things. Like you try to work the crowd and play to the stuff on this side, and the UFC people are just trying to like make sure you're not going to get knocked out, which is, you try to listen to your team and stuff like that. I always hate when people.
I can remember fighting, and like if you brought all your pals along and there's like 50 of them, they're all steaming, and your corner was like, don't fucking listen to them, listen to me. You're trying to like look for your mates, you end up getting punched, you know what I mean? So you're trying to block them out, where obviously with the wrestling it's all about the crowd. That's the reason that you're there, is for the crowd. If they don't enjoy their night, then you've not done your job. So it is completely different, obviously.
I think people don't realise like how different it is as well, like, unless you try it, unless people have done both. It's a little bit more common now that people have done both, but it's like totally different. Like when you, like you says, when your mates are there, they're steaming, they're shouting, your corner's shouting at you, not to listen to them, and you're like, who am I meant to listen to? What's happening? Then you're still trying to like dodge, not get hit and stuff like that, which is then obviously in wrestling you're like trying to play up to that. You want your mates to be there steaming so you can like try and play up to it, but it's so weird when people like compare both of them, which I think is like, you just shouldn't. It's like trying to compare rugby with football. Like there's similarities, but they're totally different. Like there's no way you can kind of be like, oh, a rugby player and a football player know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
It doesn't make. So, do you watch like modern wrestling and stuff like that, or do you just kind of try and like keep the old skill stuff?
I watch everything. Well, I try and there's that much wrestling on. It is hard to watch everything, but I try and keep up with it as much as I can. But I do like going back and watching older stuff as well, and different styles and stuff, like Lucha Libre and like old World of Sport stuff, and like even European stuff, and like back in the 80s and stuff. I just like, because a lot of stuff I never ever watched, the older stuff as well. I only watched like the stuff when I was real Attitude Era stuff, but even going back to like WCW and even AWA stuff like the 80s and that, some of that's brilliant, do you know what I mean?
And it's so cool to see, for me as well, going back and watching that, like the 80s time and stuff like that as well, is like how different it is now to then. Like, same for the martial arts side as well. It's pretty, martial arts is easier to stay the same. It just gets into bigger arenas because there's only a set amount of things you can really do. But
Yeah.
in wrestling, it's so weird to see like the way it was back then to the way it is now. It's like two totally different sports.
Yeah, it's crazy when you watch like how much they get out of like, one bump. Where it's like 700 bumps in all these spots. Where like back in the day, do a scoop slam and that's a big finish. Do you know what I mean? And the crowd would go mental. It's like I wish it was that simple. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I think as well, like it's just the crowd got desensitized to like the stuff during that attitude era, ruthless aggression and stuff like that. Because then it was like, all right, let's start using flips, ladders,
Aye, the crowd
tables. So
are spoiled.
yeah,
Somebody does a moonsault and they're like, oh, seen it? Know what I mean? That's a hard move to hit. And they're like,
man,
oh, I want to see something more. I want to see somebody nearly die. Do you know what I mean?
man, you just put me in the ring and try and get me to do a moonsault. You will see somebody nearly die because I can never do it. Like I'm the most like the flip stuff. I'm terrible at it. Like I don't know. Like people are like your size, you should be able to do it. I'm like, nah, I can't. There's no way I can do that.
It's one of the things that you've either got it or you've not. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, I think there's a guy who used to train me and he used to be brilliant at it, but he wasn't really good at the technical side. And I used to prefer the technical side because I like to do like freestyle wrestling and stuff like that. But I was terrible at the flippy stuff. Like you put me on top of the rope, my legs are shaking and everything. I'm not even scared of heights. I don't know why I would do it.
But it's a good thing as well because obviously if everybody was doing the same stuff, then there's no variety. You need people that are technical wrestlers. You need your high flyers. You need your brawlers, and that's what I love about wrestling. That you can go to any show, even local, and say there's 6 matches in the show. You'll see everything. You see somebody that can fly. You see somebody that can grapple. You see a brawler. You maybe see a tag match. You see a women's match. There's like so many different options. So you might not like everything, but you see something that you like. Do you know what I mean? And that's the great thing about wrestling for me.
I'm the same. There's so much, especially just now as well. Like you've literally, for me, reviewing wrestling shows. There's one every day. Like in a couple of weeks, I think Impact's moving to Thursday, so I've got like one every day, and it's insane to like think when we were younger, you had WWF and WCW, and then when that went out, it was just really WWE, WWF. There was nothing else. But now you've got so many shows. Like YouTube is just that social media stuff has opened up so many shows, and I feel like the local shows in Scotland and stuff are getting so much better as well. They're getting bigger names, and the younger talent and stuff that they've got is just insane. Like it's.
I think in fact as well, like you're saying, there's so much more accessibility. So the trainees and the wrestlers coming up are getting to watch so much more stuff, which then makes them better because they're getting to study more. Where like back in the day, you never had a lot of stuff to study because there wasn't a lot of wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Now you can, with a click of your fingers, you can watch wrestling for all the world. You can watch wrestling for the last 40 years. Anything you want, you can study. Do you know what I mean? So it's fantastic.
Yeah, man. I think that's the good side of technology as well. You can kind of just get anything that you want, and you can just, if you want to just be a certain type of wrestler, you can go watch Bret Hart, Owen Hart, all those types of guys, which is insane. If you want to do the flip stuff, you've got that. Whatever you want to do, you've got everything there. Just YouTube it and it's there in like the matter of a second.
In your pocket, do you know what I mean? Pull out your phone, World of Sport, right there. I've got 17 hours of World of Sport I can watch.
So what's something that you love, you like about today's wrestling industry? Is it how much content there is, or what's something that you love about it?
Like I was saying, like the styles now, like back in the day, every kind of territory had like place had their own style. So like in Britain you had the technical stuff, in America you had a slightly different style, in Japan you had the strong style, in Mexico you had the lucha libre. Now anywhere you go in the world you'll see everything. Like as I says, even a local show, you get guys that are good at every style. So everything's transcended. That there's folk that are good at everything all over the world. So even if you're just a local guy and you can't afford to go to the bigger shows or buy these platforms, you can see whatever you want. There's just so much. It's just a great time to be a wrestler and a great time to be a fan.
Definitely, man. I think something that's really good in the kind of community just now as well is how everybody's trying to help each other. So like wrestlers, like even coming on this, like, it's been such a positive kind of response from everybody that I've had on it, people that I've got coming on, just everybody's just happy to just chat wrestling. And then I like to help people kind of try and get bookings, or they'll help me get other guys, and it's just like everybody's just trying
That's
to
the
help
way it
each other
should
grow.
be, do you know what I mean? We're all big weirdo wrestling fans in this together, do you know what I mean? So we may as well stick together and help each other.
And that's what I say as well. That we're all here to enjoy the same thing. So let's all just make it good. Like let's get everybody to enjoy it and try and stay positive, because people that don't get wrestling are like, why are you watching this stuff that like it's not real? And it's like, I know it's not real, but it's my thing. Like it's my thing that I like. So what's something that you don't like about today's kind of wrestling culture? What's something that you don't really enjoy about it?
Wrestling Twitter. You go on wrestling Twitter and it's like wrestling fans don't even like wrestling. If you know what I mean. Like we were saying, there's so much good things about wrestling in it, and yet you go on Twitter and all these guys that are people that are meant to be wrestling fans just want to slate everyone. AEW Dynamite was shite. This guy had a shite match. I don't like this. I don't like that. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no need to be negative. There's so much good stuff happening. You can watch, if you don't like a certain product or a certain wrestler, there's so many more options for you to watch. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to slate everything else. Like, I just don't understand it personally, but
no, I get what you're saying. Like, I have a review show, so it's part of what I do is to review like the weekly shows.
no, but it's totally different reviewing it than just giving folk abuse, and like you get trolls. You have a bad match on, say, ICW, you go into it and everyone's, you're fucking shite, I hope you quit, fucking hang your boots up, I hope you break your neck. Like, oh, had a bad match, do you know what I mean? I've not actually dealt with that, but you see it like even celebrities and stuff as well outside the wrestling. The internet can be a torrid place, do you know what I mean? Just be positive, man.
I get what you're saying. That's what, like,
not hard.
I try and avoid that. So, like, what I was going to say is when I review the stuff, I try and finish it on a positive note. So, like, if there's a match that I don't like, so, like, for instance, SmackDown, I didn't think there was the match, every match was okay. Like, I didn't think it was anything that's like, this is really interesting to watch. The main storyline between, like, Edge and Roman Reigns and stuff like that's really good. So I was like, that's the bit that I really enjoyed. That didn't really enjoy the matches. And then the first comment, "Oh, you're not a wrestling fan. You didn't like the matches." And I was like, "What? I didn't enjoy them. You can enjoy them. That's the best thing about wrestling."
That's the thing, but you're reviewing it. So if you just said you enjoyed everything, you wouldn't be doing your job. Do you know what I mean? You need to tell the truth, but there's a difference between doing that respectfully and being like, "Oh, you're fucking shite. I hope you quit. I don't want to see you on the telly." Do you know what I mean? Like, come on.
I think I'm poor. I don't do that kind of stuff because I'm self-employed, and if you've ever known anybody that's with their own business or anything, you always get those people that are just like on Google, or you email somebody to like try and set up a sales meeting, and it's like, go die, and you're like, why are you so angry? Like, just be like, it's a Monday morning, you're telling me to go die, calm down. Like, I'm sitting in my jammies sending an email. I'm not
get a
that
cup of
upset
coffee in you and smile, man.
Man, I try and stay as positive as possible because I don't like when you don't know what somebody's going through. That's what I try.
Exactly. I just, especially the now, like, it's a hard time for everyone to just be positive and watch something that you enjoy so that you're happy and you don't need to slag anybody. Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that.
That's the same thing that I would say about today. The wrestling Twitter kind of stuff. Sometimes, like, there's a good group of guys that we speak on, like, groups and stuff like that I review stuff with and things like that. Everybody tries to stay positive. We all kind of just like have fun watching wrestling because it is fun. It's an entertainment show at the end of the day. But then you do get those people that's just like, oh, if you don't believe in what I believe in, just go die. Or as people keep telling me that I'm bald, and I'm like, I get that I'm bald. I'm the one shaving my hair every day. Like, you don't need to tell me. But so how have you found being in the kind of business for the past, obviously the COVID stuff? How have you found it? Has it been weird, like no fans, stuff like that? How have you found it?
It's difficult, man. Obviously, like, to start with, we just thought that was it. Everything was kaput for the first 6 or 7 months, and then obviously when the network deal came with ICW, a lot of us got a shout, especially a lot of guys that were either new to ICW or hadn't been used before, which was obviously, it as bad as the timing was, it was great for people to get opportunities. So, but the no fan stuff, it's obviously, it's kind of bittersweet because it's good that we're getting the chance to work when a lot of people aren't. But it's not the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, as I said earlier, the reason that we do this is for the fans and to get the reaction. Like, you know yourself, when you wrestle, like, you know when you're waiting on the fans reacting, and you know whether or not you've done a good job, sort of thing. And it's hard, but I mean, as I say, we're spoiled a wee bit by getting the chance. So you've just got to do what you've got to do, and hopefully it'll not take too long that we can get back in front of a live crowd.
Yeah, man, I think it's for everybody, for everything. Like in my real job, business stuff as well. Like there's a lot of stuff you're just kind of sitting around. Like, I don't know where I need to, what I do. Like, that's what I started this, because I was like, I can't sit here for like however long this is going to be and listen to my kids like talk to me about maths and English and stuff. I'm like, no, I need to go do something. Kid on, I've got work to do and go watch wrestling. But so like, obviously you're saying like it is good. ICW obviously got that network deal, which is insane for me to see how far Scottish wrestling has came. Like, a garage in Linwood back when I started to like being on the WWE network worldwide, which is just mental to think. But how have you found kind of doing that network stuff? You found it, you're like, this is something that, like, keeping the no fans there for that kind of stuff, is that something you think that would look cool, or do you think will look even better when the fans are back in and everybody's kind of just cheering?
Yeah, to be honest, the guys at ICW have done a great job with like the setup and all that. Everything looks professional, everything looks really cool, and obviously been in a tough spot that they've went above and beyond to obviously give us a chance to work it and make it look as good as possible. But it's just not the same. It's like, even when you watch the football's not as exciting because there's no fans on their back to, like, if they lose a goal, then the fans give them abuse and they get a goal back. Or like the boxing, and obviously it's the same with us. Like, the fans push you on, and it's like, you know, if you've done well with the reaction of the fans. So it's just strange, but that's what it is. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I think it's such a weird time to kind of be in any job, business, entertainment stuff. It's just weird because nobody's been set up for what you would do if this had to happen. Because I don't think anybody ever thought this was ever like going to happen, which is so weird. Like, to think. Obviously, there's governments and agencies and stuff all set up, and it's like, did you no plan for this? Which I always think is so weird. That I thought you had this under control. What are we doing here?
One thing I will say, like, obviously there is negatives, but the one positive I'd say about having the no fans is that, like, normally when you're doing ICW or any wrestling show, you're working towards the crowd, but because the fans aren't there, you're learning to work the cameras more. So you're kind of getting taught how to work TV a bit more, where we probably wouldn't have the chance to do that the same. Even with ICW, obviously you're focused on the crowd, but now because there's no crowd, you're focusing towards the camera. So I've noticed that the times that I've been in it, that's been a great help for me and a great learning experience.
Yeah, a lot of the guys who had on from ICW saying it's a really cool experience to be taught that kind of TV time that they wouldn't have got if fans were there, which I think it's an experience that you guys are going to be able to use kind of going forward, and you're going to. It's something that you wouldn't have got. It would have took longer for you to get. You've got it.
Yeah, it's great, man. Even speaking to like the camera crew, like some of the camera guys at ICW work for like NXT UK and some of the WWE shows, so they've obviously got that experience. So even just taking me tips for them, like certain times and certain cues, and it's just invaluable. Do you know what I mean? And something we probably wouldn't have got. So that's a positive that you can take for it, obviously.
Yeah, as everybody I've spoke to from like the kind of the UK kind of wrestling scene is just always try to find a positive in it, which is so refreshing, because everybody. Because I think if you speak to like just the average Joe in the street, it's always about the negative side of it. But everybody's trying to just, like, even me, I've been able to spend time with my kids more, been able to find more time to exercise, go for runs and stuff like that, which has been great. Like, I definitely need to get more exercise in when things get back to normal. But where do you see yourself in 10 years? Say, would you be in NXT UK? Because I think the character you've got, the style you use, you could see you in NXT UK or even NXT, WWE as well. But like, I think that NXT kind of feel suits your character, that kind of real style.
Thank you, man. Hopefully we've got crowds back. That would be a start. But I don't know, man. It's obviously, I think everybody, or the majority of people, when they start wrestling, they have goals. Going to wrestle at the highest level you can, whether that be WWE, AEW, ROH. Obviously, there's so many options now. All being well, hopefully 10 years from now, I've got a contract somewhere. But I'm not greedy, man. I'll be happy with wherever I end up, hopefully. Hopefully I get a contract, and if no, I'll be happy just if I can do this full time and not have another job, and this is like my full time living, then I'd be happy with that. But I just want to keep getting better and improving and putting my stuff out and developing my style and my character and see where it goes from there.
Definitely, man. I think you're at the minute, like you're over the past like 2-3 weeks, which is, I feel probably like I've criminally underrated like yourself, because like I've only discovered you like 3-4 weeks, probably like 3.5 weeks ago. I don't know, you just popped up on my timeline and I was like watching your stuff and I was like, why have I just discovered this guy? So I've watched like all your stuff that was on YouTube and everything like that. I'm like, this is like, you just, your style, it's like something that I love to see. It's like that kind of brings both worlds together, the martial arts side and wrestling, which is something that I do love seeing. But like I say, you could see you anywhere. Like, it's just that style. It makes it look real. The stuff that you do, and you're like, has he really hurt that guy and stuff like that? Which is obviously the selling side of it really works as well. But yeah, it's really cool. If nobody's checked you out, I definitely recommend them to go. So finish this podcast first, then go check it out, because
of course.
So, Finlay, kind of coming to the end of the podcast, we have 3 questions that we always ask. If you've watched them, you would have heard these 3 questions. One that we don't ever send anybody, but we'll go through the first 2 first. So who's your favourite wrestler of all time? Who's somebody that you're like, this is my guy or girl? Who's your favourite of all time?
Right, so this is a bit of a weird one for me. So I always say Shane McMahon, right? And everybody is like, you must be winding me up. But since I was a kid, like, if you watch any, Shane's not had an awful lot of matches, right, in the past 25 years, but if you watch them, you will remember every single one, because the guy is a fucking lunatic. You know what I mean? Like, for me, the reason you watch wrestling is you want big moments, you want things you've never seen before, and Shane gives you that. Like, one of my favourite matches of all time is Shane and Kurt Angle at King of the Ring, when they do the spot through the glass and all that, and his other matches, like his match with Big Show, he come off of Titantron, and he's come off of Hell in a Cell against Undertaker and stuff like that. The guy's just, what he lacks in ability, he makes up for in just absolute balls. He's just crazy. But like, actually, like, wrestling wise, it's probably torn between Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles. Because Jeff Hardy was probably my first favourite, like, as a kid. And then as I started growing up, I started watching TNA in about 2004. And from then on, like, obviously, AJ's became the biggest star in the world in the last 15 years, even before he came to WWE. The stuff he'd done in TNA and that was just absolutely insane, man. So that'd probably be my top 3, aye.
Man, the Shane McMahon one's something that I always say as well. Like, if he's in a match, you know it's going to be a good match, just because no like a 5-star classic or anything like that, but like, you know it's going to be so fun to watch. Like the Hell in a Cell one with Taker. My earliest one for him is King of Ring '99. I got like the VHS for it, and it was Stone Cold against Mr. McMahon and Shane McMahon in the main event, and like a ladder match for control of the company. Mm-hmm. And it just, I always remember just how insane it was. Like, the entrance was like ladders, and Shane was just getting through these ladders and stuff like that. And I was like, this guy's just insane. And I've loved pretty much every one of his matches. Like you say, you see them, that Kurt Angle one as well. Like, you see him wrestling, you're like, he's going to put on like a insane match. But a fun story for Jeff Hardy is I went to a Hardy Boys signing when I was younger. I was like 11 or something like that, and it was like, I went and Jeff Hardy didn't turn up, or he wasn't there for some reason. That like maybe he was injured or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was only Matt Hardy, and I remember being so like distraught. Like my guy was Jeff Hardy out of the Hardy brothers. I was like, I'm there to get a signature for Jeff Hardy, so it was only Matt, and I just remember he signed like a thing. I've still got it to this day, but I always remember just being so ungrateful as a kid. I was like, nobody really likes him anyway. He's not even a good Hardy boy and stuff like that. I just like gone back home in a poor huff. My mum's like, what are you doing? Like, I've had to pay for you to go get this signed. I'm like, but it's not a good guy. But so, that's my favourite wrestler of all time is Sting. Bringing it to that TNA stuff that's when I started watching TNA, when I found out Sting was there. And then you've seen people like AJ Styles, which is his TNA stuff is insane. Then you've got Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. Man. And it's all that kind of similar, like Samoa Joe kind of style to kind of what you are kind of doing. Like it's you can see the parallels to it. But yeah, man, I think early TNA days with all those guys in it is just something that somebody has to go see. Like it's just the six-sided ring. It looks so different, and it was just like the polar opposite of what WWE was doing at that time as well.
So cool, man. Like there was a few actually recorded a TNA podcast last week, so I was watching old stuff, like kind of preparing for that, and you forget just how good it was, man. And like you say, because it was so different, like the X Division, WWE weren't really doing anything like that, and obviously the six-sided ring and stuff, it was brilliant. And then they started bringing in like Jeff Hardy, Christian, Sting, Kurt Angle, Booker T. It was a phenomenal time, man.
I mean, there was a sweet spot within TNA as well when you had like Sabu, Sting, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, but like just everybody was just there. It felt like every good wrestler was in TNA, but obviously they fumbled it a little bit kind of later on when they kind of got to that 2010 period. But I feel that they're coming back now. Like that X Division just now I look forward to it every week. Like it feels like the old school one at the minute as well, which is really good. So what's your favourite event of all time? What's an event, like for me it would be probably like WrestleMania 17, SummerSlam 94 or something like that. I would sit somebody down and be like, this is a cool kind of event to watch. What would be your one?
So my go-tos are usually between WrestleMania 17 and SummerSlam 02. SummerSlam 02 maybe just edges it, because I think every match on that card could main event any show. Like even with the opener, you've got was it Ray and Kurt Angle, and that just sets the tone for the full night. I go back and watch that quite often on the network, and it's like even but nearly 20 years for then, and you're like, you could put that show on anywhere the now, and it's just timeless, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. So I try and avoid showing people that kind of 2002 period, like that one, SummerSlam 2002 and Survivor Series 2002 are my two favourites. I try and get people, I don't show them that till like they've watched a few, and then I put that on, because then it's like you might get like SummerSlam 94 was the Owen Bret Hart one, which is my favourite match ever, but then you've got Taker versus Taker at the end. So I put that stuff on so they get the hokey stuff, good wrestling, and then you go, right, here's like just two great pay-per-views. Like SummerSlam 2002 is just the whole thing. Like I watched it last night as well with my missus, who hasn't seen it before, and she was like, this is like insanely good, and I was like, I know, see, I told you wrestling is good.
That 2001, 2002 period's like my favourite time to get back and watch stuff, man, because even maybe for 2000 onwards to like the tail end of 2002, just anything you watch, even like if you go back and watch old SmackDowns and stuff as well, it's just crazy. The talent at that time was just unreal, and every match is stellar, man.
I totally agree, man. I think that's probably one of the best times in wrestling as well, was just like everybody was there. It felt like everybody was watching it, and like you say, the talent in that ring was just like insane. Like they had so many, like it was like Monday Night Raw main event was just like Taker, Kane, Austin versus Triple H, Angle, Benoit, Malenko. You're like, how's all these guys just in the same place at the same time, which is insane to think compared to nowadays. No saying that anybody has any good athletes and stuff like that. Obviously, it might just be the way stories is and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say back then was probably my kind of favourite time. Now, the famous question I need to ask you, man, the one that I ask everybody that gets people poor stuck or they know the answer straight away. So I'll tell you the question, then I'll give you my example, and then you can tell me yours. The question is, if you could replace or add yourself to any match at any point in history, what would it be? So mine would be, I would replace Owen Hart against Bret Hart, SummerSlam 94 in that blue cage, just because if you've never seen that match, or anybody watching this hasn't seen it, you need to go watch it, because it's just probably one of the best wrestling matches in a cage ever. And I would only replace myself if I was as good as Owen Hart, mind you, but I wouldn't, because I would ruin it if it was just me the now. But what would be yours?
So I would probably replace Kurt Angle against Shane at King of Ring 2001, just because it obviously Shane's my favourite, probably my favourite, and that match is my favourite match of all time. It's actually watch it all the time, man. It's just, seeing you've not seen it for ages, or if you're feeling it, if it's a bad day and you're feeling a bit shite and you put that on, it's just blows your mind, man. So I've got to say that.
Man, if you think about that one as well, like on paper, you're like Kurt Angle, who's probably one of the greatest wrestlers ever, against Shane McMahon. You're like, this isn't going to be a good match. But then when you watch it, you're like, this is actually like a really, like, just obviously it's no like one of those technical matches or like some wrestling Twitter when they go watch it and be like, this is the greatest match ever. But it's just so fun to watch, man. I love watching that one as well.
I love about it as well. Obviously, Shane's just crazy, but if you watch Kurt Angle's full career, he didn't do a lot of kind of hardcore stuff. Or Kurt Angle was a wrestler's wrestler. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He didn't like doing gimmick matches or anything like that, really. And that was one of the only ones, and he went above and beyond. And I think that's what, for me, makes a good wrestler stand out, that you can put him in any situation and he'll excel. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I think we got the best Kurt Angle, and Shane's just a fucking nutcase. So that is brilliant, man. Love it.
One thing that's poor criminal is that a lot of people don't watch Kurt Angle's TNA stuff like that. One of my favourite matches for him is him against Taker at No Way Out. But then that's at the tail end of his career, and you go into that whole TNA period where he was just putting on like amazing matches with everybody, which is insane. So where can people find you, man? I've got your links in the description below, but where would you like people to go find you? What kind of matches would you recommend people go check you out in? Where would you want people to find you?
So I've got a few matches on YouTube. If you just type my name in, there's not enough for a lot. You can obviously find me on the WWE network. Sounds crazy to say, but I've actually found myself just opening the app and typing my name in just to look at all my matches come up and feel like I'm on the WWE network, you know what I mean? But if you type my name in on the WWE Network app, you'll find some of my matches on there by ICW. And you can get me on Instagram and Twitter at DeanFord_PRZFTR, and on Facebook it's Prizefighter Dean Ford.
Yeah, man, it must be, just finishing up, before I let you go, what's it like? Do you just like, obviously when you open up the app and stuff like that, do you just like leave it up when your mates come in, or when they're allowed to come in after COVID? Like for me, I was on one of the Thunderdomes. It was like a main event, like the one build. I think it was SmackDown was the main one that I was doing, but it was like the pre-recorded before it, so it was like main event. And I was on it, and I put it on the TV. I shared it everywhere. I'm like, look, I was on the network. So if I was actually on it working, I would be like, right, here I'm on. Like, I have it everywhere, sending it to people. Do you do something similar, or you try to be like humble about it?
I do try and be humble, but it is hard, obviously. Like growing up as a wrestling fan, to be on that, it's just insane. Like I remember when we first started filming these kind of tapings, and they told us, "Oh, this is going to be on the network," and I'm like, "So it is." Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll believe it when it happens, and then it actually happened, and I was like, I thought they were winding me up. Do you know what I mean? But and now with this Peacock deal, like that just blows it out the water even more than it was previously. Do you know what I mean? Like on Peacock, you're on the same platform as The Office and things like that. Like, as if it wasn't crazy enough, it's just took up a level. Do you know what I mean? So that's madness. But it's really good. I love it.
Man, I would if it was me, I'd have it on just constantly. Anybody comes over, just mute it, leave it on in the background, but like just like hinting at it, look what's on the TV, like it's me. But that's what I'd be doing. I'm not a humble person. I show everybody every day. So obviously, I get people to go check you out, man. I think you're one of the best wrestlers in Scotland at the minute, if not the best.
Thank you very much, man.
It's insane your stuff it's doing. It's cool because I've done that martial arts side as well, and I can see the stuff that you're bringing into it, and it's something that I like to watch. I love watching martial arts and wrestling. Putting them both together just makes it good for me. So what I'll do is I'll end the podcast there, and I'll tell you kind of what's going to happen next. Okay.
Right. Thank you.